Hello my dear friends, my name is Dr. Vishal Gul and I'm speaking from Yamunanagar. Today I'll be talking about very important strategies which can fetch us 7, 7.5 or maybe 8 bands in IELTS speaking. Let me tell you that IELTS speaking is very much predictable. The questions asked are predictable. How to do that? We all know that the IELTS examinations are based on 3 sections. The first section is general, the second one is cue card and the third one is discussion. Very simple, nothing new. But did we ever notice that why these 3 sections? Why general, why cue card and why discussion? Because the examiner wants to examine us, not us, but our speaking. That are we really ready to go to a foreign country, go abroad and study there or do some kind of business? So he wants us to do a little more. Because there are 3 sections, he wants to add 3 more things. Remember that the examiners are very clever, their observations are very astute, their ears are very keen. Okay, they can listen to the sounds that you speak, they can listen to the mistakes that you make. So you need to be very careful, but remember, it is damn easy, you can do that. Okay, so 3 sections, 3 things. What these 3 things are, remember, the examiner is going to ask you questions, either they are descriptive, narrative or reflective. Because when he asks you a descriptive question, suppose this is 3, there are 3 sections like general. In general, he asks you, tell me something about your father. General question. Tell me something about yourself. Tell me something about your studies. Tell me something about your life. Tell me something about your profession. Tell me something about your mother. Tell me something about your teacher. Tell me something about the institute where you got the coaching. Okay, so remember, he wants you to describe every time. Wrong signal. He wants you to describe. Descriptive. Okay, so you see, there is a combination. Description. All the time he wants you to describe. So very simple. To describe, you need adjectives. What you have to do, you need to memorize at least 48 to 55 adjectives based on different situations. Adjectives of quality, adjectives of quantity, adjectives of number, it's so on. But it is possible once you have done good grammar. Please make your grammar fine before you go for the examination. If you are not good at English grammar, then you may struggle there. So better you prepare yourself for grammar first and then go for the IELTS speaking test or evaluation. So once again, you need to memorize or learn the usage of adjectives, because he asked you to describe some person, place, thing or an event. Very simple. And the second kind of question he would ask you is to narrate. Please understand, narrative. You need to narrate. When we narrate, actually, we use verbs. I went there, I saw a ghost and I was out of sorts immediately. I didn't know what to do. I ran away, this and that and that. You see, I'm trying to use as many verbs as possible. I went, I did, it happened. So these are verbs. So the examiner wants you to describe, or he wants you to narrate, or the third one is he wants you to reflect. When we reflect, actually we use our opinion. Suppose you want me to reflect on something. How do you see the problem of crime among youngsters? So I'd say, in my opinion, look at it, listen to the sound. In my opinion, in my belief, in my view, according to me, or what I opine, in my viewpoint. So there are so many expressions that you can use. And the good thing about reflection is you can add future tense, you can add the use of models, auxiliaries, Very simple. Should, would, may, might, and it should happen. It would happen. You can use make use of these models. Very important things. Remember that general questions. No, wrong one. General questions, cue card questions, and the third one is discussion. So in general, he asked you to narrate. No, describe. In cue card, normally he may give you a chance to narrate a moment or an event. So you did it. You remember the verbs, adjectives, and in the third, models. So this way the examiner had a wonderful chance to evaluate your speaking skills. He would analyze your tenses, the usage of tenses, mind it, and the second, the usage of words, your vocabulary, adjectives, verbs, and idioms, everything. Such a wonderful thing. So I would say that these questions normally are predictable. Big question. Is this session about these three things? No, it is much more than that, because I want to share certain tricks. I want you to follow certain tricks so that you don't have to memorize a lot of information. You can be creative. So before I start that, I have just simplified the things, these three sections and these three kinds of questions. So will this work? No, you need a little bit more than that, because I'm going to use or discuss with you 10 very important tricks. 10 tricks. And you need to follow these 10 tricks. Once you follow them, bang, bang, remember that. And how would it happen? Let me tell you. Very important trick. The first of all, you work on your clarity of voice. Okay, it's not a trick, it's a bit of advice. You see, you need to work on the clarity of voice, because speaking is all about listening. The examiner wants to listen to you, and examiner wants to make sure that when you speak, you go abroad, you go to Canada, go to America or Australia, at that time you can speak well and people can listen to you well. If your speaking is fine, definitely people would understand you the same way the others do, and you understand them. So my friends, you need to be very clear with your voice. First of all, clarity. A lot of people don't really understand what I mean by clarity. Clarity doesn't mean that my voice is reaching you, I am speaking and you understand me. No, clarity is much more than that. The voice is clear, it's fine. But are we in a position to logically produce the idea? Logically. Somebody asks me a question. No, not somebody. My examiner asks me a question. Okay, tell me something about your father. Tell me something about your father. And I say, I love my father, I like him very much, and I tell you that I adore him. Will it make any sense? No, the examiner doesn't want this stuff. Actually, the examiner wants you to talk about your father, not about you. So how to do that? Talk about father, start giving the description, the physical description of your father. You will need adjectives. Remember that? Description. You talk about the physical appearance of your father, I'm sorry. How tall is he, and what kind of face he has, his skin complexion, and then you can talk about his characteristics. You can add certain adjectives. You can say he's very kind, he's very supportive, very helpful, he's very responsible, and he's very thoughtful and open-minded. His observation is very astute, and he's sometimes very assertive. You can use as many adjectives as you want. He's a true friend and father. You see what I said? I said he's thoughtful, generous, helpful, kind, large-hearted, magnanimous, whatever. But remember, saying this won't work. You will need to add a little more information, and this particular kind of information is known as supportive information. If you only say my father is kind, will not work. You will have to say my father is kind because I remember one day he helped the lady who couldn't cross the road. She was helpless, she was blind, and my father went to her, held her hand, and then helped her cross the road. I was amazed at his kindness. I was so happy because he was in a hurry, but still he was ready to help her. So this made me feel my father is a generous man. He's a model of behavior. He is very, very, very kind person. I like him very much, adore him. Then you can say I adore him. Then you can say I like him. It must come in the end, not first. First your father, then about his physical description, and then his characteristics, and there is a story, supportive information. In the end, you say, I like him, adore him, I love him, whatever you do with him, okay? And this is what the examiner wants. What we usually do, I have seen certain times, because I've been teaching or training our students, aspirants, for a long time. I've observed one very important thing in them. I ask a question, okay, tell me something about your friend. They usually say, and what do? They give an odd expression because they start fidgeting. You understand? Fidgeting, they get perplexed out. They feel as if they're lost in the clouds. Actually, my friend, he's very good, and he's very nice, and I observe they never look at me, or they don't try to pass information to me. Actually, they are speaking to the walls around, or maybe the roof. Oh no, the examiner is a live human being. The examiner wants you to make a contact with him. So you need to look at the examiner. And when you speak, I'm talking to you, I'm trying to look into your eyes, look at my eyes, and what I'm doing, I'm trying to make an eye contact with you. So when I'm trying to make an eye contact, you feel connected. So this is very important. When we go for examination, we make an eye contact, a pleasant eye contact. We don't have to sneer at the examiner or glare at him. No, we have to look. We have to give a pleasant look. We have to give a pleasant smile. We have to make him comfortable. We have to make ourselves comfortable. So you can do that. And remember, you don't need to fidget. Don't touch your fingers like this, or do like this, or look around, look at the walls of the roof. And sometimes we are out of breath. You need to control your breath first of all, and have a very fine control of your body too, and your mind, and be pleasant, and prove that you are very creative, very, very relaxed, and what you are speaking is not a mucked up information. You didn't come with ready-made information and pour down everything. No. You're a creative speaker, and creative speakers create, form immediately at the spot. You can do that. Okay, so my friends, whenever there is a question, all the time remember this. My first tip is very important tip, that whenever an examiner asks you a question, never look around, look at him, and don't answer in 1, 2, or 3 words. Answer him in a sentence, and remember that not one sentence, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as many as possible. What do you want to say? Because it's a test of your speaking skills, the examiners expect you to speak more. Examiner, imagine, put yourself in the shoe of the examiner. You will realize that the examiner is tired. He's waiting for somebody to come and then speak. Because a lot of Indian speakers or Asian speakers, they want to speak, but after 2 sentences, they shut up. They don't speak further. So the examiner has to ask another question. At that time, examiner gets tired. So what you have to do, you need to speak more. When the examiner asks you a question, you need to give 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6 sentences, so that the examiner sits relaxed, listens to you, and he has a fair chance to evaluate you. If you don't speak much, the examiner doesn't have a chance. So at that time, you're at loss, because examiner has to ask more and more and more and more questions. At that time, you'll have to answer more and more and more questions, and you will be in trouble. He'll be in trouble. He would never give you good marks, better marks, or be the best marks, or dance. So to score better or the best as per the eligibility or the quality or the kind of talent you have, you need to make sure that you answer questions not in one sentence, two sentences, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences. And I remind you, you need to logically create the answer. Never to worry. Suppose somebody asks you, tell me something about your mother. Imagine your mother first of all. Imagine her, and you know she's a loving lady. She is a very kind woman. She's a compliant woman. She's submissive. All the time cares for you. She's very, very cooperative. All the time she works in the at home. So you need to imagine all that stuff before you start answering. And first of all, start with the physical description of mother, how she looks like, and then talk about her characteristics, then talk what you like in her, and then give an evidence. If you want to say that she's very helpful, you can put a story. You can put a small incident in that, and this way you're adding supportive information. So my friends, these are few tricks that you can follow. Remember that there are going to be 10 tricks which I'll be sharing in my next videos. So before I put an end to it, I remind you once again, I talked about 3 sections: general, cue card, discussion. And these 3 things, remember, this is descriptive questions, narrative questions, and reflective questions. And whenever there is a question, there is no answer in words. There is always an answer in sentences. It happens to me. I ask somebody, okay, what's your name, lady? Suppose the examiner asks you, what's your name? What would you answer? Normally you would say, my name is Vishal Goyal. This is my name. So you would say, my name is, whatever your name is, you would say, my name is. Will it be the answer? I tell you one more trick, very important. Whenever the examiner asks you, what's your name? My name? No! It is. Interesting, isn't it? This is the rule of grammar. If there is a question which ends in a noun, name, the word name, my name, he has already used the word my name, so why to repeat? Why to use the same words the examiner used? We'll use our words, different words. The words from our own creativity. So we would not like to use my name. We would say, you ask me, what's your name? How would you ask me? Because we are behind the camera on the screen. So once again, somebody asks me, what's your name? And I would answer, it's Vishal Goyal. It's Vishal Goyal. I wouldn't say my name is, and the second way is, I am Vishal Goyal. You can avoid that. I am. It is not pronounced I am, it is When you pronounce I am, it is and remember, is used when you're talking to informal audience. Suppose you have your friends, you are in the company of your relatives, you are in the company of people whom you know, you love, you share your thoughts, and definitely you spend time together. You can say you're in a party, hello, I'm Vishal Goyal. Hello, I'm Vishal Goyal. Okay, so my friends, I am is used in informal situation, and a lot of people like to say, somebody asks you, what's your name? The examiner would ask you, what's your name? Somebody say, myself, Vishal Goyal. No, myself, it is incorrect. The grammar is incorrect. The examiner wants to make sure that your grammar is correct. And myself will never qualify, because myself is a possessive pronoun. And we cannot use possessive pronoun as subject. And another thing, we did not add a verb to it. Myself, Vishal Goyal. How is it possible? Myself, Ranjit. No. Better is, it is. If somebody ends like this, what's your name? It is Vishal Goyal. Okay, so my name is Vishal Goyal. No. And I am Vishal Goyal. No. The third one, it is. This one is the best, isn't it? Myself, I am, my name is. Avoid these 3. If the examiner's question is, may I have your name please? What's your name? Can I have your full name please? Another error that we commit usually. Whenever the examiner asks us, what's your full name? And we say, my name is Vishal. No, my full name is Vishal Goyal. So whenever you are in a formal meeting, use your surname also. So my friends, keep in mind that there are many strategies which I'm going to share, because this video is getting longer. So I would like to put an end to it here. And I hope you have a wonderful session. You are wonderful people. Keep watching, enjoy it, subscribe to this channel and see what happens next. And I'm going to share so many strategies which can change your attitude towards speaking skills. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.